One. What's up, guys? It's Jensen. Welcome to another video. So, the New England Patriots are 8-1 through 9 games of this NFL season, and they've been pretty good. The defense has been legendary this year, and Tom Brady has been pretty good this year. He hasn't been elite by any stretch of the imagination, but he's been pretty good. And obviously, the New England Patriots are Super Bowl contenders, as they should be, and that's all great and all. I love talking about the Super Bowl picture, but this offseason is where things get interesting for the New England Patriots. It's been well reported that Tom Brady could potentially leave the New England Patriots this season, it's offseason, as a free agent. And guys, I've been spending the past couple weeks contemplating what potential teams Tom Brady is looking at and what are the aspects that Tom Brady would consider when signing with said team if he were to leave. And I came up with a couple factors Tom Brady might consider. Number one, I think he's looking for a nice warm weather location. Boston, Massachusetts is not a warm weather location. Let's make that very clear. They have some harsh winters up there. But, we have to keep in mind that this guy's a California kid. He's used to warm weather. I think he's looking for a warm weather destination. He's from California. That's just, it's as warm as you can get. He might not be looking at specifically California team. But I think he's looking for a warm weather destination, which might rule out a team like the Denver Broncos, where it makes sense on paper. But since it's Denver, Colorado, does Tom Brady really want to move there? I question that. And number two, I think he's looking for a head coach and GM who are on the same page and obviously are very talented at their jobs. And that rules out a team like the New York Jets, where there's just too much dysfunction going on. There are a couple other teams I could think of that potentially rules out into Tom Brady sweepstakes. But that's a major factor that people need to consider. Head coach and GM are a major factor in Tom Brady's decision. Because we have to keep in mind, he's been with the best, Bill Belichick. So obviously he'd want at least some guys to know what they're doing, in my opinion. Number three, I think he's looking for a team that has the necessary cap space and draft picks and assets necessary to surround him with a great supporting cast. And that rules out my Chicago Bears. I have to be very honest here. I would love Tom Brady sign with Chicago Bears, but even if he did, the Bears wouldn't have the draft picks nor the cap space necessary to surround him with top-of-the-line supporting cast. So I would have to rule out my Chicago Bears. Obviously, I hope they'd be able to sign Tom Brady potentially, but it's not realistic. We got to look at the facts here. And Chicago would probably not be in this discussion. And number four, I think he's looking for a place where he could beat Bill Belichick and solidify his legacy as the greatest quarterback of all time, which many people consider him to be, but not everyone. But if he were to move to a new location and win another Super Bowl, that could potentially solidify his legacy as the greatest quarterback of all time forever, at least for a long time. And after considering these four aspects, I think that the team that Tom Brady should sign with is the Miami Dolphins. I know they've been a joke this year, guys, and let's be very clear. One win through the midway point of the NFL season is unacceptable, and that too to the hopeless New York Jets. But they have everything Tom Brady would potentially want in a team that he would want to sign with, in my opinion. Let's start with the location. Miami, Florida is a free agency destination in all sports. We saw this when LeBron James signed with the Miami Heat in free agency. We all remember that, and I think cities actually play a major role. And players love being in Miami, no matter what sport it is. So I consider that when I looked at all the teams, and Miami definitely fits the bill there. And number two, obviously, they got a great head coach in my opinion. I really like Brian Flores. He's been able to stay motivated. He's been able to motivate his guys even through a season where he had every right to be frustrated at ownership and the front office. But he's been able to rally on his guys, and Miami's actually looked kind of competitive the past couple weeks. I think Brian Flores is the right guy for the job. And I questioned the hiring of him when Miami originally hired him, but he's really inspired me the past couple weeks with his performances. I think he's a guy. And Chris Greer, I have my questions about him, but we have to keep in mind that he's operating under the command of tanking from ownership and Stephen Ross. We have to keep that in mind. I want to see what he can do if he potentially gets Tom Brady, and can he put a supporting cast around him? That's what I'm interested in. And I think he could. He's made some nice moves, even with the commands of tanking. I really thought that the Minka Fitzpatrick trade was smart in that they got the Pittsburgh Steelers first round pick. That was very smart in my opinion. And then Miami could be a major factor this offseason. We look at their cap space, they're projected to have $117 million. Even if they were to sign Tom Brady to a projected 2-year, $80 million contract, which is what I would think it would take to get him out of New England where there's so much stability and where he's so comfortable to potentially come to a new place and where there could be some turbulence, obviously. I think it would take around $40 million a year to get that done. But even if Miami were to sign him to that type of contract, they'd still have a ton of cap space. And this free agency class is pretty loaded, in my opinion. I mean, Jadeveon Clowney, if you were offering him enough money, you could pry him from Seattle if you wanted to. And AJ Green, I think, is a major candidate to leave Cincinnati this year. Obviously, he should be a factor for the Miami Dolphins. They should consider signing him for sure. And there are a couple other dudes who are just really good, who the Miami Dolphins could easily sign with that much cap space. They could surround Tom Brady with the right pieces if they were to sign him to a huge mega deal. And let's keep in mind, they got some pretty good pieces there already. Xavier Howard is a pretty dang good cornerback in my opinion. And Rashad Jones, even though he's getting older, he's still a pretty good safety. And on offense, I really feel like Devontae Parker isn't quite washed up yet. He's still pretty good. I mean, we have to keep in mind that this guy was a first-round pick in 2015. That talent doesn't just wash away. I really feel like with Tom Brady, Devontae Parker could potentially be a pretty good player. We've seen Tom Brady do it before with no names like Malcolm Mitchell and Danny Amendola. We've seen it before. Devontae Parker could be the next in line. And that would be something very interesting to see in my opinion. And as for the draft, guys, imagine if they were able to get Chase Young of Ohio State. We've seen what this guy's been able to do this year. He's been an absolute monster. I mean, they lost Nick Bosa and Ohio State. Still pretty good in their pass rush because Chase Young's really picked it up. I mean, he might be even better than Nick Bosa. I really feel like he'd be able to come into the NFL and be a potential defensive player of the year candidate right out of the gate in his rookie season, which is what Miami would really need. And if they were able to get a star pass rusher like Chase Young, all they'd really need to do is put the surrounding pieces around players like him and Xavier Howard and Rashad Jones. They'd have like the stars. They just need to put the supporting cast. And then they have Pittsburgh and the Houston Texans first round picks, and it's really pick your poison at that point. Me personally, I'd like to see them get a left tackle, and they could make a blockbuster deal for Trent Williams, the unhappy left tackle of Washington. I really feel like that'd be a smart move with Tom Brady getting older in age. And we have to keep in mind, he's not Patrick Mahomes or Russell Wilson. He can't just run out of the pocket. I mean, a left tackle would be very helpful for him, and I feel like they could make a blockbuster trade for Trent Williams or Le'Veon Bell. That'd be an interesting combo. I mean, Tom Brady, Le'Veon Bell. Tom Brady's never played with a running back of that caliber. That'd be something interesting. Let's see if they could pry him from the New York Jets potentially. That'd be something to see. And there are a couple other players who the Dolphins could potentially trade for in that situation. I mean, Miami has a ton of assets. That's what intrigues me about Miami. They have so many assets. There's so many possibilities if they were to sign Tom Brady. They'd be able to surround him with a Super Bowl contending cast. And that might take a year or two, but nevertheless, they'd be able to surround him with a cast that would be as good as anyone's, in my opinion. And finally, we have to look at the fact that they'd be able to play the New England Patriots and Bill Belichick twice a year. I really feel like Tom Brady would relish the fact of playing the Patriots twice a year in the regular season. And then when it goes to the postseason, I mean, if the Miami Dolphins are able to win the AFC East over the Patriots and Bill Belichick, how much would that help Tom Brady's greatest of all time case? I mean, that would help tremendously. That'd be amazing. And guys, if they were ever to win a Super Bowl, which would be highly unlikely, even if they were able to do all the moves I previously suggested, Tom Brady, in my opinion, would forever be the greatest quarterback of all time until we see someone do something close to what he's done. I mean, it would be amazing. Miami Dolphins haven't won a Super Bowl since 1974. That franchise is starving just to be in the Super Bowl conversation. And if Tom Brady is able to deliver them a Super Bowl, that would be something special. And we'd put that on his resume. That would be more impactful than another Super Bowl in New England. Because we'd be able to look at Tom Brady and say, he was able to do it in a more competitive division because the AFC East in that situation would have himself and the Dolphins, obviously. Patriots and Bill Belichick would not just fade into oblivion. We saw what Bill Belichick was able to do with Matt Castle. Obviously, Bill Belichick and the Patriots would be able to rebound. And then the Buffalo Bills with Josh Allen and what they're building up there, that'd be a tough division. The only real joke of the division is the New York Jets. And most divisions have at least one joke team, so that doesn't really go against that division. And then we're going to be able to talk about how he's able to do it without Bill Belichick. He's able to do it with Brian Flores, whom in my opinion is a great coach, but he ain't no Bill Belichick. If Tom Brady was able to do it with Brian Flores and Chris Greer instead of Bill Belichick, that would be an even greater accomplishment than winning another Super Bowl with Bill Belichick in New England. And that's what I really look at. That's why Miami makes a lot of sense. And we look at guys like Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson. They're coming for that greatest of all time. And I know they're pretty young and they still got a ton of years to go. But we're looking at Patrick Mahomes and we see what a special talent he could be. I really feel like if Tom Brady is able to win the Super Bowl in Miami, though, even Patrick Mahomes might not be able to catch Tom Brady as the greatest player of all time. And, I mean, Tom Brady, he's been great for the past close to 2 decades. But a Super Bowl in Miami, for me personally, I really feel like that would move him to the unquestioned greatest of all time for a long time. We're not going to see anyone like Tom Brady for a long time. And if he was able to win a Super Bowl in Miami, boy, wouldn't that be something? And no one could argue against him being the greatest player of all time in that situation. So, it may not be the popular opinion, I realize that, but this is a hot take channel. And mark my words, if Tom Brady looks at all the options, I think he too would see the Miami Dolphins as the best fit for him in a new team this offseason. And I think he will sign with a new team. And the Miami Dolphins make sense. And that's all I'm going to say about it, guys. It's been fun. Please like and subscribe. I'll be providing you with more NFL and NBA hot takes as the season goes on. And see y'all later.